We stopped yesterday at the rules for molecular compounds. How do you know something is a molecular compound? Two nonmetals that are bonded together. And usually when you look at your ion chart, they would both be negative ions. There are some nonmetals that don't form a charge, but you would see they're both nonmetals. Or metalloid. Let's add that to it. It has to be both metals or nonmetal or metalloid, because if it's a nonmetal and metalloid also, they'll be a molecular compound. So as long as they are not metals, there's no metal in your compound. No cation in your compound. So rules for naming and writing formulas, you always write the least electronegative element first. Now usually in our examples, they'll give us the order already. But if you don't know, you would check your electronegativity chart. The least electronegative atom is always first. The second element, you're going to combine the prefixes. Remember those prefixes for the numbers. We use that prefix plus the root of the element's name and then add IDE. If the element starts with a vowel, you're going to drop the O or the A of the prefix. So for carbon monoxide, it's not carbon monoxide. You drop the O from mono and it's just carbon monoxide. So here's an example. If the first element has more than one atom, so this one has 4, then you're going to use the prefix. If there's just one, you don't use the prefix because when you say it's phosphorus, whatever, you're knowing that there's at least one phosphorus. But the second element always has the prefix. So here, there's 4 phosphorus, so what was the prefix for 4? Tetra. Di is 2. Oops. So there's P4O10, so the prefix for 4 is tetra, so it's tetraphosphorus. And what's the prefix for 10? Deca. And for deca, since oxygen starts with an O, we're dropping the A of deca, and we'll just have decoxide. So no switching charges or balancing charges. We're just going to name it based on how many atoms there are. So here, if we want to name the binary molecular compounds, what would the first one be? What's AS?
Diacetic.
Wait, what? Why? Hold on. Diarsenic, I would agree, because there's 2 arsenic. There. And then what's the prefix for 5? So pentoxide. It's penta, but oxygen starts with an O, a vowel, so we're going to drop the A and just put pentoxide. How about this next one? For trioxide. Now, I know that they tell us they're already molecular compounds, but look at your chart. Find sulfur and oxygen. Are they both nonmetals? Yes, so you know that you use the prefix system to name them. They're both -2 charged, so you can't have, you would use prefix system when you have 2 negatives bonding together. How about this next one? Iodine. Trichloride. PBr5. Phosphorus. Pentabromide. So actually, I think this is a simpler way of naming and writing formulas. The hardest part of this is just figuring out that you need to use the prefixes, figuring out that it is a molecular compound. Next, we probably write some formulas. So oxygen difluoride, what would be the formula? OF2. Carbon tetraiodide. CI4. Now, we are not looking up the charges and crossing charges and balancing charges. We're just going based on what the prefix is here. Di meant 2, so we had 2 fluorines. Tetra, here. Phosphorus trichloride. And dinitrogen trioxide. Very good. So questions on the molecular compounds?